and then the road, it's the road actually that you take to Mexico. And it's also a road that people trying to get out of Mexico and come here take to come in illegally. So it's just so dry. He actually said that if he had dropped me there, that in 3 hours I'd probably be dead.
Let me see if he'll even let me drag a man here and put it down. Let's see. Okay, it will. So this is the terrain that you're looking at. Look at this. Look at this, guys. You can literally take anything here and hide it forever if you really wanted to. So Brian Enton did a video the other day talking about the desert, the terrain, and how bodies are left and crime happens out there, things like that. Well, I'm going to give you more in depth of a view of that, and also some locations and some areas that were not mentioned, only because I know by personal experience. Plus, I'm going to show you the route that the driver could have possibly taken from Nancy's house to avoid street cameras. I've showed you this route before, but I'm going to show people that didn't see the first video. Fugitive TV, stay tuned. Welcome to Fugitive TV. I am your host, Ray Marcel. And what we do here is we take a look at cases of missing individuals, unsolved crimes, or any case that needs a spotlight or a different perspective from somebody like me. I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I did it for 15 years. I lived in different countries under different names. I ended up turning myself in. And now what I do is I own a few businesses. I'm talking to you guys on this channel. I'm a motivational speaker, and I help families members locate missing people or locate people that need to be brought to justice. I've done a lot of videos on Nancy Guthrie, okay? Who hasn't? We all have, right? But for you guys that's been following me, I've been giving you guys totally different perspectives on everything that goes on with her. I've been doing deep dive research into her background, people that surround her. I brought you guys Tina Abanuzi or Fatima. We're the ones that discovered that. With her background, her inventions, all the businesses she owns, the clinical research center she owns. We brought you guys that. Some of the devices that it's like one device was destroyed DNA by a lamp. One device is allegedly a way to accomplish missions easier. You can chat through people without using Wi-Fi. It can block cameras. It can block Wi-Fi. It can act as a jammer too. And I've brought you a lot of things, okay? I've also told you personal experience because I was living in Tucson. Now, when I first went on the run, now I started one of the biggest car rings in Colorado, okay, with major dealerships, and we'll get more into detail about that. But when I first went on the run, I was going back and forth from Las Vegas to Arizona because they're right next to each other, okay? They're close to each other, so I was going back and forth a lot. So I spent time in Tucson for a little bit. So I'm very familiar with Tucson. Matter of fact, I was even in that area, not in Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood, but that area of Tucson, which is North Tucson, the foothills area of Tucson off of Skyline Drive. That's where I was at. Now, I also would leave from there and cross the border, go into Mexico easily, and sometimes would even come back, okay? While I was on the run. Now, I wasn't coming back the regular way. A lot of times coming back, they have the tunnels. The tunnels are right there. There's so many tunnels. Tunnels are used for coyotes. They're used for narcotics transportation or anybody who wants to pay the fee pretty much to use these tunnels, all right? Now, Brian Enton did a video, and I watched the video, and it was really good, especially for people that don't know about that area of Tucson or the terrain, because the terrain is really rough. And people are, if you've never been there, it's hard for you to imagine or picture people dumping off a body or something like that, and you can't find them. Well, a lot of these places don't have roads. If they do, the dirt roads, or you have to take all-terrain vehicles or ATVs. Similar to people that live in like the East Coast with mountains and things like that, but this is just flatland mountains, desert, totally different. Another thing is the heat. When it gets really hot out there, nobody wants to be out there. Nobody. you could die. You could literally die out there if you don't know what you're doing within a matter of a few days. If you don't know what you're doing and you decide to go out there hiking or something like that, and it's the summertime or anywhere close to the heat, you could die. It happens a lot out there because some people take Mother Nature or that terrain for granted. Well, what I'm going to do with this video is I'm going to actually show you some places, some locations, okay, that other people don't know about, because why would they know about that, right? Where crimes usually take a place, bodies get dumped off, all right? And you might be asking, like, why are these bodies get dumped off? Here's the thing. Since you're so close to the border, all right, so close to the border, you got to think about all the criminal activity that happens at the border. You have people that transport narcotics. That is one of the major things. Second thing would probably be weapons, those back and forth. A lot of times what they'll do is there'll be a trade. Our country, America, we know it's very easy to obtain weapons. Very easy. So you have certain states like Nevada, Arizona, that are easy to obtain weapons. Colorado's one of them. I live in Florida now. Florida's one of them. Some of these states, you don't need a certain permit. You can walk right into Walmart. You can buy something there and you can walk right out with it, all right? It all depends on the state you live in. So, because weapons are so easy to get in America, a lot of times it's used as trade. So, an individual, a lot of times will trade weapons because to them it's disposable. They can get more, and they would trade for narcotics, fentanyl, whatever else that might be coming from that part of the border. That is not as easy for us to get, but easier for them to get. You get what I'm saying? The same thing happens north of the border. Same exact thing happens north of the border in Canada. Weapons will get traded. We would trade certain individual weapons, and in return, they would trade us narcotics. Now, you might be asking, what do they have that we need? A lot of times it's marijuana, okay? Canada, I believe now it's illegal through the whole country. You got to remember, here it's only illegal in certain states, not the whole country. So there, even when it wasn't illegal, it was more lenient, as in everybody wasn't going to jail like they do here just for having marijuana. They might get a ticket or something like that, but they really weren't taking people to jail up there. And people up there were growing it more, so they would transport it down to here and we would trade for weapons. It happens all the time. To this day, it still happens. Now, you also have people who work with, let's say, certain organizations. One could be in a cartel organization. Let's say you have a shipment of narcotics, okay? And you're supposed to deliver them. You might have a shipment of weapons and you're supposed to deliver them. Now, something can happen to where you lose that shipment. Let's say you lose the shipment. You lose that shipment. You get robbed. It happens. And now you owe that organization some money. Some of them will give you a deadline to pay them back. Some of them won't. Some of them on the spot, you're just gone. Some of them. And they'll have to do something with you and take you somewhere. Where do you think they're going to take you? Definitely not the hospital. So they're going to take you to the desert and get rid of you. They're going to take you to one of these locations and possibly get rid of you, okay? If you guys ever seen the movie Casino, you ever seen the movie Casino? I think Al Pacino was in it. It's kind of based loosely off a real story, actually, of the mob in Las Vegas. And you see that they're taking people out to the desert to get rid of them. The same exact thing. I don't know if you guys ever heard, some people might have heard of this. There was a notorious gangster. He's a Crip. His name is Big U. He's actually in prison right now. He just got caught up and arrested, I believe it was last year. But Big U, okay, is a notorious Crip out of California, the West Coast. One of the things with him was there was a friend of his son, okay, a friend of Big U's son. They were all in Vegas. The friend did something wrong, and allegedly Big U's people took the friend of his son out to the desert to get rid of him. I believe they found his body and things like that. I think maybe because somebody told, I'm not sure, but it still happens, all right? It's probably always going to happen as long as you have these terrains and it's easy to get rid of. I'm going to show you why these areas are so easy to dispose of people. You can go walking, or I should say hiking, or riding, whatever it is, and you can come across all kind of things. You'll come across backpacks, okay? Some of these backpacks might have narcotics in them. They might have weapons in them because people might be hiking these trails with things and at the last minute might have to dump them and run off. Border Patrol, immigration, police, whoever. And those backpacks sometimes don't get found. Some people will put stuff out there and try and hide them, and you have people that go out there and they come across it. You can go out there and find bodies just laying there in a shrubbery, and you don't really see it because of how the terrain is. A lot of people think you're going to get buried. Now, there are some that happens, but digging a hole that deep takes a long time. But out there, you have all the time in the world, all right? So I'm going to show you a couple places. I'm going to show you a couple places where things go down out there. And then I'm going to tell you about some more places that I don't think it happened, but still things go down in this area too, all right? A couple places I'm going to take you to and tell you about is some, I guess you want to call old school cemeteries. One I think used to be a cemetery, and that's why it's called that. I am not sure. I never found out the answer to this. I Googled it while making this video, and Google didn't even have an answer. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can Google it and figure out why it was called, place was called a cemetery. Another place was a cemetery. I mean, it still technically is. It is just very old, all right? So let me take you there now. So speaking of cemetery, this right here is actually going to show you, it's going to show you directions to one of them. Now, the thing about this, I don't know if this was a cemetery at one point. That I don't know. But it was called Hassan Cemetery, or Hassan, Hasan. That's what it was called at one point. So I don't know if it was a cemetery or not, because in Tucson, there used to be some cemeteries that were kind of down south. And then what they did was they moved them up north. Okay. But some of the families couldn't afford to move them up north. So I think they left some of the bodies in the south. I'm not sure exactly how that worked out. But here, take a look. So as you see, look at this. It's just desert. So this is Hassan Cemetery. And like I said, it's just completely desert. There's literally nothing out here. So what some people would do is, unfortunately, they would take people who were unalived or bodies, and they would take them out this way. And you see, you got hills. And this is where they would get either buried or dumped off, is in areas just like this. So you can easily take people off the road, especially if you have an ATV or all-terrain vehicle, and throw them on the back, drive them out. And a lot of times they wouldn't even bury them. They'll just dump them off, because these the shrubbery, well, what you see as shrubbery, what kind of act as camouflage, and you wouldn't even notice it while driving. You literally have to be walking in here or doing something to really notice this. And especially if it's going to be summertime, it's really hot. Nobody's out there really walking around. In the evening, yes, and that's why you have so many with flashlights, but in the daytime, you really don't. But as you see, look, this is heading back towards her house. And this is only 30 minutes away, people. Only 30 minutes away from her home. And I believe this is maybe 20 minutes away, 15 minutes away from, let's say, the main metropolitan area of Tucson. And look, it looks like there's nothing around you. So this one's a little further. I believe this one was pronounced Helvetia. It's about an hour, but it's right before you get to the border. So if you're driving south from Nancy's house, all you do is jump on I-15, because I-15 will pretty much take you right to the border of Mexico. So this is going towards the border. And what you would do is you would get off I-15, and there's an area. This is an old cemetery right here called I think it's Helvetia. Helvetia, this what the name of this one is. And look, this is really, look how old this is, guys. nobody's really came to taking care of it because it's literally so old. And you can see the terrain. Let me see if it'll even let me drag a man here and put it down. Let's see. Okay, it will. So this is the terrain that you're looking at. Look at this. Look at this, guys. You can literally take anything here and hide it forever if you really wanted to. Isn't this just insane? Like, so yeah, nobody really, there's people that know about it and they'll come up, but it's really not a lot of individuals that, let's say, oh, you're not going to just go hang out here on a Friday or Thursday. And the road to even get there, you guys, I mean, look at this. It's literally out in the middle of nowhere. You see all that? That is just terrain. So it is literally out in the middle of nowhere. I can't even show you guys some of the road because the road is literally ends up being a dirt road and then that's it. But look, so you can hide all kind of things out here if you wanted to. Look at that. And once again, no cameras or no street lights. You don't see a camera or street light in sight. There is literally nothing. And you can keep going down. See, nothing whatsoever. You get stuck out here, you get stranded out here, especially in the summertime. And this, folks, is where a lot of crime goes down out here. Because you're so close to the border, for one. I wonder why they have that blanked out. That might be a private property of somebody. But you're so close to the border, for one. There's really nobody out here. There's people traveling and, going to God knows where to get to a destination. Some people might have a house down here. Like if you look in the background, you see some roofs. So you will see some houses down here. Not a lot though. But you will see some people out here that live out here. And that is why you see these cars. Now see, you can go, look at this. These are dirt roads right here. Dirt roads. So if you got a vehicle that can handle it, you can go on a dirt road and keep going down. And then you got some plants out here. I'm not sure what type of plants, if they're water plants, but you have like I said, there's literally nothing down here. So you don't have a lot of people coming down this way, and you're going to keep going. You're going to run into like a little neighborhood, see a couple houses, and then you can just keep going. And but eventually, if you keep going, you will end up to here. This is where you're going to eventually end up. And I can't even show you the roads to get to there because Google never took those roads because those roads are dirt terrain. This right here is Helvetia Lookout. Okay. So this is actually in the hills, or if you want to call it the mountains of the Helvetia area. Not too far from where I showed you that cemetery. But once again, look. Look at this. It looks like it just goes on forever, right? So imagine somebody taking something and hiding it anywhere out here. You know how hard it is to find something out here? It's like finding a needle in a stack of needles. And this road, the same thing, except this one's just not flat land, it's more hills. Then you get to some flat land. Kind of. But yeah, you have this area as well. And what this is, as you see, look, there's nothing around it. It's by the Helvetia Lookout area. Okay. And you have a lot of trails that go there too. And then I'm surprised a lot of big media has not mentioned this. You also have Indian reservations around Tucson. Here's one. This one's actually next to the Hassan Cemetery. I believe is probably only 5 minutes away. This is the San Xavier Indian Reservation. For those of you that are familiar with Indian reservations, that is their land. So we can't even go on the land to go look, to go do anything. We need their permission. Okay. So we can't just go walk on their land, FBI. We can't do that. We actually need their permission to go on the land. It's a big thing when it comes to going on Indian land and trying to solve crime. A lot of people don't realize this. So some people, what they will do is they will go out. Let's say you go out to Tucson, you commit a crime, and then after you're done, you will flee and go to an Indian reservation because it's almost like a safe haven. All right. A lot of Indian reservations, the people there will not work with the police that's outside of the reservation. Now, the reservation, a lot of times will have their own police, but a lot of times the people that are on the reserve will not work with the police that's on the outside, if you get what I'm saying. And then you have a lot of action in this area of Arizona. This is Rio Rico. Okay. This is only a few minutes from the border. This road right here, what I showed you, Old Ruby Road, this is literally right off the highway, off of I-15, okay? Literally right off the highway, I-15. As you see, once again, look, all these areas I'm showing you have one thing one thing in common. No street lights, no traffic cameras. So a lot of people are wondering like how they can get away with doing this when with no traffic cameras. Now, leaving Nancy Guthrie's house, I showed you guys in the prior video, there's a way they could have got out of the neighborhood to avoid traffic cameras, and I showed you guys that. Matter of fact, I think I might show you guys again. Okay. But the tricky part is there is no way to avoid traffic cameras whatsoever. So I don't know what happened to a beyond a certain point unless they switched cars or something, which could be possible too. So I'm going to take you down that path right now. All right. So for those of you that's been following me, I showed you this path before. This is for the new people who probably never saw this. So I did a video. I was the one when the camera footage, the Ring camera came out that showed all those cars passing by, and at night, and everybody was wondering where the Ring camera footage came from. My partner who does a lot of the research for me, Julia, she's the one that discovered exactly where that Ring camera was at. She discovered the house, everything. Once she discovered that, that's when I started looking at the time. And then I'm the one that discovered the one car that's passing around 2:30ish a.m. twice. I'm the one that discovered that's a Kia Soul. And then that's when everybody started. I think a lot of people either saw my video or, other commentators or other, I should say, viewers start telling other creators, hey, such and such, there was a Kia Soul. But we were the ones that discovered that. All right. And once I discovered that, I also in that same video showed you guys how and why they took that route. Because some people was wondering why did they go that way? So for example, I'm going to show you this. I'm not going to give you the exact location of where that camera was. I never did. I'm not going to do that. But Nancy Guthrie's house starts with the dark blue right here. Okay. Now, any normal person, okay, this is what they mean by you had to know where Nancy lived at. You can't just stumble across her house. This road right here is North Campbell Road. This is, I guess you can consider it a major road that goes in and out of her neighborhood, north and south. All right. So North Campbell Road, you could take it up to Skyline. All right. I'm very familiar with Skyline. So you could take it up to Skyline, but once you hit Skyline, you're going to run into cameras. You're going to run into security cameras. See this? Soon as you hit Skyline, you're going to run into cameras. Look. See that? We all know what that is. See that? You have two separate cameras here, people. Two separate cameras. You have a CCT or whatever you want to call it camera, you know, that spies on everybody. All right. And you also have a flock camera that records license plates. So when they gave us that crap about, oh, we don't have any cameras. Yeah, in her neighborhood, they don't. But once you leave the neighborhood, as soon as you leave, I'm showing you right here, proof of day. That's if they decided to go north. Okay. So if you went north on North Campbell and you hit Skyline, oh, cameras all day. Now, once again, Nancy Guthrie's house right there. Now, if you went south on North Cameron, now south is going more towards Metro Tucson and going towards the border. Now, if you hit south North Campbell and you got to East River Road, which is the major intersection, okay? Let's show you guys. Let me get to the intersection. All right, as you see, East River Road, right? That's East River Road. And watch what happens when you look up. Watch this, people. You see that? Camera. Right there. Let's go across the street. Camera. Again, there's a camera on all four lights. As soon as you leave out, the sun's in the way of this one, there's a camera up there too. As soon as you leave out of the neighborhood and you go south, there's a camera there too. So when that footage came out of those cars driving by that house is in actually this area right here, which I'm going to show you. It's in the North Camino Reel. So for example, if you were to left Nancy's house, all right, and you're follow along, there's no cameras, nothing whatsoever, not even street lights, right? Here is North Campbell Road, the road I told you I can go north or south. So then all you have to do is follow the light blue line, all right? Because it's still the same neighborhood. Now you see what I mean by you have to know this area. Now, where that ring camera was that showed those cars, it's right here in this area right here. Right there, okay? That's where we find that out. So then it made sense because once you take the car, you can go south. You're going to keep going south, right? You're still in the neighborhood. So remember, there is literally no cameras here. No street cameras. And then watch this. When you come out of the neighborhood, look up. No flock cameras. No street cameras. There's not even a stoplight. Now, I explained this to you guys before. So you guys that are new, that haven't heard about this, okay? One of your worst enemies when you are doing a crime is a red light. You do not want to get caught at a red light, all right? So when I was out and we were doing what we were doing, okay? And for those of you guys that don't know, the reason why I was a fugitive, I started one of the biggest car rings in the state of Colorado. And we were working with dealerships. Yes, dealerships were in on this. So we weren't like taking them from people's, from regular people in their parking lot. It was actually working with dealerships. So they would leave the keys somewhere late at night. And we would go there late at night and we would take the vehicle. And then we would take the vehicle somewhere and we would get paid for the vehicle. We don't know what happened to the vehicles after that, but that's what we did. Now, when we would take the vehicle, we're driving the vehicle, of course. We do not want to get caught at a red light. So we planned out all of our destination. Now you have to remember, this is a long time ago. This happened, I think this was around maybe 2002-ish and 3-ish. So we didn't have cell phones with navigation. So we had to rely on maps and memory. Okay. So we would scope out the scene first, and then we would figure out the route. Then once again, when I became a fugitive and I went on the run, all right, I think maybe the first year and a half before I was able to figure out how to change my name, I was still under my real name. And I would even be driving around. I would not want to be caught at a red light. For one, if you're at a red light, especially if you're at a red light when there's one lane like this is a red light, and you're stuck there, you risk a cop getting behind you, getting bored, and running your plate. You don't want that to happen. You also want to avoid left turns at red lights. Those are the slowest turns because most left turns at a red light have one lane. Unless you're in a big metro area, they're going to have one lane. Then once again, you risk a cop getting behind you and running your plate. So we would take routes that either had no lights or try to, or right turns, because right turns, most of the time, you don't have to wait for the light. So this area right here made perfect sense. You make a left, and then you keep going down, all right? And as you see, look, now you got some businesses that might have a ring cam or something, but they're still tucked out far. Now look, there is still no lights or no street lights, no traffic cam on East River Road on this side of it. Now, I'm gonna show you something else. This part of East River Road, if you keep going down, how you can get to the south on the other side of what is called, it's a river. I think it's called Riddle River or something like that. There is a little, like a pathway that can be taken where you can actually cross the river. Let me zoom in for you guys, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you see right here, and I've showed you guys this before. This is basically for the new people who never saw me do this. East River Road, right? But look, it's just like a bike trail that's right here. So let me put the little man here and see if I can show you guys if it actually shows you. So yes, there's a little bike trail right here. Now, as you see, they did put up a little stake that's right there, okay? But even though that stake is there, look at this. No stake here on this little dirt path. And then I'm gonna show you something. So this dirt path actually goes into a couple people's homes. But you can easily cross. You go into the dirt path here, and you can easily cross, if you don't mind scratching up your vehicle, on to right here, which is the bike lane. Once you're in the bike lane, once you're past that one little metal piece, you're free selling. A car easy enough, that's small enough, like a Kia Soul, will fit right on here. No problem. You're over that little dried up river, and now you're on Diamond Loop. You're going to take North Cactus Boulevard down, all right? Because there's still no street lights there. Then you're here on North Allen Road. Look. You see what I see? Still no street lights. Still no traffic cameras. None of that. You can continue that route for a while. Now, once you get to Prince Road, this is when you start running into street lights and possible traffic cameras. Possible. Now, as you see, there still is, I don't see any traffic cameras here, but East Prince Road is a very popular road. Matter of fact, I looked up Zach's address. Zach had an apartment on Prince Road. I believe Kayla's husband had an apartment on Prince Road, which was right down the street from each other. Another individual even had an apartment on Prince Road. Okay, so this place is, especially Prince Road, very popular. Now, that is one way I'm showing you guys how potentially they could have got out of that whole area and not got detected. So as you see, now that I'm giving you a mental picture of this, I wish I was out there. I would actually drive to some of these locations and show you. But now that I'm showing you a mental picture of this, you can see that it just goes on for a long time. So you can easily go out a few hundred yards with somebody or with an individual, get rid of that person or get rid of the product you need, and people will not find it for a long time, sometimes years. Like I said, not everybody's just walking by out there. It will literally have to be somebody going out there for a reason to find something. Okay. A lot of people are just driving by these areas. They're not stopping and walking out in them, right? Now you might ask yourself, why these old cemeteries, like the one cemetery I showed you that's really old. A lot of people don't go to these cemeteries thinking to search for an unalive person, a dead person. Think about it. Everybody there is already dead. They're already unalived. They're already, not living with us. Okay. And you might be asking yourself, why is he using the word unalived? Well, in the YouTube world, when you have a smaller channel like mine, I can't use the MURDER. I mean, I can use it, but then my video can get flagged and it won't be shown to the masses. One of the reasons why my channel has grown so quickly to 25,000, almost 25,000K in 10 months is because I am following the YouTube guidelines. And because of that, it's actually spreading my videos out. So until I get a lot of subscribers and I can take the filter off, sorry, I hate it. I have to use this language and talk around certain things. Well, not everybody passes away from M, right? Natural causes like in the cemetery. But when people are unalived by another individual, sometimes they'll take them out to these places because nobody's out there looking. You get what I'm trying to say? They're not looking for a new death. You get what I mean? So a lot of times an individual will take a person, a body, whatever you want to call it, and take them to an old cemetery. If they have time, a lot of times they will even put them with somebody that's already there. You get where I'm going? That person might never be found ever because they're with somebody that's already there. So that person might never be found unless that grave has to be dug up for some reason. But if not, they're not going to find them. And these old cemeteries, like I showed you, there's not like a regular 9-to-5 worker out there. As you see, there's nobody out there really taking care of it. If you go to these new cemeteries, yes, you got workers taking care. That's a different story. But you got places like this that I just showed you where nobody's been out there taking care of anything. No worker, no nothing. So it's free reign. You might have some kids that come across there late at night because they want to tell some ghost stories. A lot of times they're not digging up graves. You might have some weirdo individuals that want to go out there and do some seances, things like that. But a lot of times they're not digging up graves either. So you get where I'm going? So it's an easy place to hide things. It's not always people. People hide money out there. They hide narcotics out there. They hide weapons out there because nobody's digging nothing up. Another place in Tucson, you have mines out there. You actually have mines where people were digging for mines. A lot of these mines are closed down and things like that. Now, a lot of these mines are in the hills. You can go out to some of these mines in the hills and you can find things. You can find bodies still. You can find whatever in these mines. Now, I don't think they would have went to the mines because a lot of these mines are in the hills. They would have to go up north from where she lived to get to a lot of these mines. Now, there is a mine down south by the Indian reservation I told you about. There is a mine down there. But that mine, a lot of people go to, especially students travel to that mine. So if these people were smart, like I think they were, I don't think they would have went to that mine. Now you might be asking yourself, why are you showing us this stuff? Because we have not found Nancy. People are wondering where she's at. People are wondering, did she cross the border? It is possible, because I told you guys I did it. You can cross the border into Mexico half the time with no ID. You could pay them off easily, $50, $100, and they'll let you go. All right? It's coming back. That's the issue. Coming back to the States is the hard part. Going to Mexico, that's easy. Now, if they didn't want to risk taking her across the border, people ask me this all the time, okay? Do I think Nancy's alive? I personally don't think she's alive. Unfortunately, I think she's no longer with us. Do I think they unalived her in the house? That part, I don't know. I really don't know. Is it possible? Yes, they probably did unalive her in the house and take her. I don't know. But depending on how fast they, let's say they did do it in the house. Okay, let's say they did it in the house, some sort of way, and they took her. They have her body. Why would you risk driving all the way down to Mexico with her body if she's already unalive? Now, I can see if she is alive. That part I can see. Because if she is alive, they have to take her to a facility where they feel they are safe. Not just her, but they are safe. A facility they're familiar with and a facility they're protected. You get what I'm going? So if she was alive when they take her, then I can see them going across the border because they probably already have something set up across the border. I can see that. They're across the border. Now they're looking at the news. They're looking at all these YouTube videos, looking at my video, and they're probably like, damn, he's smart. He's catching on, you know? He ain't going to catch on that. You know what I'm trying to say? They're looking. When I was on the run, I was Googling my name, my real name. I was Googling it left and right. I would go to the library. I would use IP blockers. Okay, VPNs is what they call it, to block your IP address. I would and Google my name just to see if somebody caught on. I would Google the FBI most wanted list. I would Google all this stuff. So I'm sure if I was doing it for the little stuff that I did, Nancy's way bigger than this. I'm pretty sure they are Googling to look, especially the people who actually did it. Okay. Now, if they unalived her in the house, why would they dump her body off across the border? I mean, they could, but why when you have all that terrain there, when they can do this, take her here or take her there to one of these locations I told you about, then go across the border themselves, sit, relax, and chill because now the body's not with them. I told you one of my Coyote resources told me that a few weeks ago, the border was hot. The border was hot, meaning that FBI, especially on our side of the border, was on not lockdown, but keeping a close eye on things. They were trying to use cameras to see who was crossing. They were trying to do all that, all right, a little bit after this happened. And the Coyote also told me, like, and I told you guys this before a couple times, I don't know if this is true. And I think I showed you guys a Facebook from this reporter called the Midwest Pundit. He got his information from, I don't know where he got it from, but his information aligned with what I got. And it said that one of the suspects, one of them, okay, was unalive and dumped off somewhere by the border. As in he was expandable or I'm trying to say disposable. Okay, he was a disposable person. So they disposed of him somewhere by the border. He couldn't tell me much, but he told me that. And he said that operations for the Coyotes, if you guys don't know, Coyotes are people who help immigrants cross the border. They cross the border a lot of times all the time illegal ways, through tunnels, jumping the fence, going over rivers, the terrain I just showed you. These are what Coyotes do. They are actually really trained and skilled in what they do, okay? And anytime something goes on at the border, they have to be aware of this. And sometimes they will what they call halt, seize operations for a bit because they can't do it while police are there investigating, doing certain things. So operations will have to be halt, meaning that they lose money, all kind of things, right? And Coyotes don't work for themselves. They work for usually a organization. They pay the organization a fee once they get paid from the people trying to cross. Well, This person told me that they had to cease operations for a little bit because of what happened. And word through their grapevine, what they were saying was one of the suspects was somewhere by the border dumped off. Now, I showed you the 2 locations that were close to the border. I showed you the area, or was it Rio Rico? Rico Rio? I always confuse it. I just showed you that. That's where Carlos was at. That's minutes away from the border, minutes away. All right. So if this is true, if one of them did get dumped off or somebody got dumped off there that's involved with the case, you know, and let's say law knows about it, but they're just not saying anything because they're not going to tell us all this, especially FBI. Think about it. Going that far down, that's FBI that's doing all this now. That's way out of Pima County territory. So now we're talking about FBI. FBI doesn't tell us nothing. They're not going to. Just like if people get caught and they go to court, it might go federal FBI, and then we're not going to know what's going on. We're not sometimes until after everything's done, but they don't release stuff like a regular court case. Well, I figure I'd give you guys this information, give you guys this little bit of insight into things that might help you guys out there with your own investigations. It might help you with your own. Whoever's watching this video that's already out there, boots in the ground, maybe go to those locations. Now, a couple of those locations are hard to get to. I'm not going to say walk through the dirt and through the desert. I am not going to advise that whatsoever, especially if you've never done it before. Please don't. But if it's something you're used to and you're skilled at it, go ahead, take a peep. You never know what you might find. Just make sure you give me credit if you find something, please. This video is dated. But what do you guys think about this? Like I said, I saw Brian Enton do the video on this, but I wanted to give you guys a more in-depth look because these people that Brian Enton are interviewing, they might not know all the way. Most people don't unless you were involved in that underground, okay? Then you're probably not going to know. Now, there was another Brian Enton interview he did, I think it was Friday or Thursday, with a person that they kept their ID sealed. You saw that, and he was saying that the lead detective had no experience.
Yeah, this isn't the first no confidence vote that we've done. So it should have been no surprise to him, especially with what's been going on. So not only our local community, Arizona in general, but just the nation now sees that we have no faith in Chris Nanos.
Is it awkward for people?
I brought that up 3-something weeks ago. So I know that the person I'm talking to who works with Pima County, and I'm not going to say which way. I have been talking to a person that works with Pima County, and they told me around the same time the Coyote told me, they told me that Sheriff Nanos pretty much fired all the detectives that had experience and put somebody who's never did this type of work in charge. Now, you can have rookie detectives on the team, but when it comes to a homicide, I'm not even in law enforcement, but when it comes to a homicide, I am not going to put a rookie in charge on a homicide. Time is of the essence, people, when it comes to homicide. If you don't get all your ducks in order, for one, if you don't get everything right, when you go to arrest them, if the charges don't add up, they could be tossed out. If the charges don't add up, they could beat it in court. So the groundwork with a homicide starts with the detectives. The foundation starts with the detectives. They're the ones that gathers all the evidence, everything against the individual, and then they pass it along to the prosecutors so the prosecutors can now convict them with the evidence that the detectives have found. If you're a rookie and you're messing up, I'm sorry. Same thing with a criminal organization. They're not going to put a rookie in charge of something unless they really want to get caught and get messed up. Okay? I don't know who sent these people for Nancy Guthrie. Do I believe there's some sort of cover up? I believe. I'm not going to filter. I believe somebody's covering something up. Do I know how high it goes? I don't know if it goes to Pima County, FBI. I don't know. But I do think there is some sort of inside person somewhere that's covering something up. Now, I showed you how they could have got out the neighborhood without being detected on cameras. I showed you that. Okay. So if I can show you and I can do that, I'm pretty sure these individuals can do that. Now, once you get out the area and you keep driving, that's the part I'm wondering how they evaded cameras. And like I said, unless they switched vehicles, which is very possible. You switch vehicles, vehicle keeps going, and this vehicle goes this way. All right. I believe the original vehicle is probably somewhere in Mexico burnt to a crisp. That's what I believe. I believe this is burnt down. I don't think we're going to find it. Do I think we're ever going to find Nancy? I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't know. But what do you guys think about this video? Let me know what you think about this. Like I said, if anybody's watching this that's out there, I wouldn't advise you going to these areas, especially if you've never been to these areas. It is quite dangerous. But please let me know below, comment below where you're watching from, you know, city and state. Please join the membership. I got a membership video coming up for you guys soon, all right, where I get more into detail about certain things, and also court cases and a little more detail into me, you know, if you're curious about me. Please like, subscribe, and not only that, hit that notification bell. Make sure your notifications on your phone for YouTube in general are turned on. Some people are having problems with that. This could be the issue. I'm not sure. But thank you for watching. We've almost reached 25,000 subscribers in 10 months, people. I'm one of the fastest growing YouTube channels in the true crime sector. And thanks to you guys. Thank you so much. Fugitive TV, please take care of one another. Look out at your surroundings. All right. Till next time, I'm out.